Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this 18th episode of the Automated Millionaire video/podcast. Today, we are in our second episode in our new series that we just started, looking at the mistakes that business owners make. Again, these mistakes, I'm highlighting them because I know that they often cost us a lot of money as business owners when we carry them out. A lot of the mistakes are mistakes I've done myself, and today we'll actually explore one of those mistakes that I did that definitely cost me a lot of money. It's my hope by bringing attention to these mistakes that maybe I can catch you in, if you're doing any of the same, that maybe you can get aware of it and maybe stop it and do something else so that it will prevent you from wasting a bunch of money on things that's not going to be conducive to better business for you and in your efforts of driving and running your business. So yesterday in our first episode in this new series, we talked about making sure that we make the most of the momentum when things are going well in our business. So when things are really churning out, the right sales numbers, we keep growing, we keep having clients come back to us, they are loving our services or our products and so on, and business is booming and so on. What often happens is that we start to rest on our laurels. We start to kind of think that this is, we got it all made and things will just be good forever. But this is life, and life has a tendency to show up, and life has a tendency to go in cycles of good and bad. So all of a sudden things are maybe not as easy anymore. So my advice is that when things are going good, when we have a good momentum, that we really ride it as hard as we can to get the maximum out of it. It'll help us strengthen our war chest for a rainy day, for that matter, or it will help us strengthen our edge over competition and our edge to go in and tackle future challenges. So again, the first episode we looked at, make the most of your momentum, make sure that you really get the max out of that. Today we're going to look a little bit about, and I mentioned that a little bit yesterday, that sometimes when the momentum is going really well and we are not really taking care of it, instead what happens is our ego comes into place a little bit. Our ego starts thinking about, well, we are the bomb, we know how to make the business happen, we're making a lot of money, and soon enough we begin to look into entertainment values instead, get a new fancy car, go out to more dinners and more drinks and just more entertainment and more relaxing because, hey, we got it made. This episode today here, I'm going to continue a little bit more of that ego. What I've found is that whenever my ego gets into the business in too large of a way, it will definitely and always cost me a lot of money. In fact, I typically make the most of things when I am coming from a place of humility and a little bit of being a little bit humble about everything. That makes me more open and more willing to kind of bide my time when I need to bide my time, and maybe investigate a little bit deeper into, should I invest in this avenue of the business, or should I focus my efforts on certain other parts of the business? You may recall that I spoken, if you're a returning listener here, you may recall in previous episodes that I used to have and run the largest limousine service company in Denmark. Now, this company was predominantly serving a high-end clientele, and typically was more like a corporate vehicle demand that we had. But see, a few years in and things were really booming, I made a lot of money and things were really great in that business and so on. And I thought, what, if we are known to be the best limousine provider in all of Denmark, then, we should also have the best vehicles available at all in Denmark. And so I was thinking about, well, which is the best vehicle? And you may know, and you may not know, but, typically speaking, in terms of advertising for vehicles, you would find that they would always talk about the Rolls-Royce as being the premier vehicle available of all kinds in the world. So, the most prestigious, most luxurious vehicle, that would be the Rolls-Royce. So I thought, with my big ego, I thought, okay, I gotta have Rolls-Royces in my fleet. And so I did that mistake of saying, okay, I'm gonna go and acquire myself a Rolls-Royce for the fleet. I didn't just do it by one vehicle. I didn't just do it by two or not even just three vehicles. And I went out and bought 4 Rolls-Royces. And see, this is a super, very illustrative case study of what not to do. And it's a very, very big case study of that exact point where the ego comes into its way and kind of like tells you what to do instead of doing what's really right for the business, what's really serving the business well. This here made me my ego, but really was a very poor choice out of a business sense or any other sense really for that matter. You see, when you have a clientele that has more like a corporate limousine services, well, they are not really looking to that flashy car. They don't really want necessarily a car that really stands out in, the street scene of things. They do want a high-end luxurious vehicle, but that type of vehicle would be like, a high-end Mercedes-Benz S-Class or a high-end BMW 700 series or something of that sort. Here in the States, it might be a high-end model of the Cadillacs or something, or Lincoln. But again, something that from a looks point of view is maybe a little bit more subdued in the street scene. They are not looking toward, having the Spirit of Ecstasy galleon figure there on the hood of the Rolls Royce coming down the road or so. They're looking for getting comfortably from point A to point B and not really worrying about, looking very flash. So the mismatch was supreme, right? I get the wrong vehicle type for the wrong, or for my clientele. So, I had the right clientele, but I matched it up with the wrong vehicle investment. And to make it even worse, I got 4 of them, not just one. Now, could I use the vehicle? Yes, I could use it. I did do some trips with that and so on. But again, it wasn't really a good match of clientele, type of route, type of assignment, and the type of vehicle. I could use it well for weddings, but one of the things that I found out very quickly with my limousine service company is that catering for weddings and so on is all fine and good, but they typically only happen 1, 2, or 3 days a week, and typically you might be able to do, if you're really lucky, maybe 2 in one day. So at the maximum you might gain, let's say, 6 weddings for a vehicle in any given week. Whereas the corporate types of assignments, well, they would be running all the time. So you might have 14 trips for any one vehicle in any one day. And that's even with a lot of wasted hours in between. So in other words, it was just my pure ego that went in and kind of like got me to invest all of this money into something that certainly wasn't going to serve me very well. I, of course, shifted out of the limousines, of the Rolls-Royce limousines very quickly, but still that comes at a cost, because now you just want to say, okay, I want to recoup as much of my investment as possible. Another case study of the ego coming into the way. I did this, more than once, unfortunately. But that was when I went to get the Mercedes S-Classes. So we definitely wanted Mercedes S-Classes for our clientele. It's a perfect match for that high esteemed clientele, the ambassadors and ambassador guests and so on coming into the country for high-end clientele, either doing corporate work or visits to Denmark, or anything of that corporate level that we were serving. The S-Classes is definitely a good match for that. But what I did here in the mistake of my purchasing was that I would deck out these cars with all the thrills and all the bells and whistles, because I was thinking, well, if I was to have one of these vehicles for myself, I would want the night vision. I would want the entertainment system in the back. I would want the extra length of, leg room and so on. So I would match up these vehicles with the high specifications that was possible. And that would easily make the vehicle maybe 20, 30, 40% more expensive than if I just taken, okay, I need the bare minimum. It needs to be a Mercedes S-Class. Maybe the extra legroom is warranted. And yes, it has to be black, because that's the clientele who kind of needs that corporate look of a black limousine. But it didn't need all the rest. And so it was great for me when I, had a chance to ride in one of these vehicles because I enjoyed it. But from a business point of view, it was a waste of money. And now I place myself in a situation where my vehicles were much more expensive in investment and in depreciation and in finance and so on, compared to all of those that my competitors ran, because of course they would run vehicles that were much more basic levels, and that was fine because quite frankly that matched up with the clientele very well. Again, the clientele, a lot of the trips would be coming, picking them up at the airport and driving to the hotel, and they don't care about switching on an entertainment system for a 20-minute car ride. They don't care about half of these things. They do care about a nice clean vehicle and good looking, decent, well represented chauffeur and a nice ride from A to B in safe and comfort. They don't care about all these other things. So again, ladies and gentlemen, the point of this episode is about really watching out for that ego when the ego steps in. And then invariably, like I said, it always costs me money. In negotiations, it would cost me money. If my ego was too high, I would too eagerly walk away from something because, it didn't feel right, or I didn't like the way they spoke to me or something. And it really hadn't to do anything with the deal or anything of the quality of the deal. Yes, I believe that, there should be a good, sound respect mutually in negotiation, and there always was. So everything beyond that was just my ego talking, and probably didn't serve me very well. So again, in these episodes here in this new series where we're looking at mistakes business owners are making, my hope is that you may learn from my mistakes so that you don't need to go and spend the unnecessary time, effort, and not least money being wasted on something that's gonna be completely unserving to your business. If you're already making them, I hope that maybe you can recognize some of this in yourself and say, okay, I need to think about this. I need to slow down and rethink this and come from a place of humility and a little bit of a humbleness, and then conduct your business from there. Invest in the tools that's really going to make a difference for the business, but you don't need to get all the frills, bells, and whistles just because it's nice to get. Do it from a more cost-benefit analysis, and then it'll serve you much better. I hope this has served you well. I would hope and love for you to hit the like button, maybe even subscribe, so you can come back and hear more of these the mistakes that we make. Again, I am taking these mistakes not in any necessary order, but to highlight things that are definitely costing us money when we carry out business. And as you know from maybe some previous episodes, I've helped a lot of business owners in a lot of industries all over the United States, all over Canada, and into a lot of countries in Europe. And so I've seen a lot of them, and I've made a lot of the mistakes myself, and I've seen a lot of mistakes that we'll talk about in future in different businesses. And like I said, they all cost the business owners a lot of money, wasted investment, wasted time, wasted effort. I hope this served you well, and I hope that I'll see you in tomorrow's episode where we'll continue this series on the mistakes business owners make. See you then.